Hey, folks, welcome to InTheMoneyStocks.com's intraday analysis video brought to you by the creators of proprietary price, pattern, and time methodology. Learn the PPT strategies and simply profit for life. My name is Gareth Soloway, Chief Market Strategist here at InTheMoneyStocks.com. Today's date, Tuesday, February 18th, 2014. Markets are basically around the flat line, although the NASDAQ is having a decent day today, up about 29 points. Dow is negative 15 points, and the S&P is up about 2.5 points on the day. And really, it's been a dead day, folks. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. Just a dead day, markets, almost nothing going on. Obviously, it's a hangover from a holiday weekend. You've still got a mess of a winter weather condition up and down the East Coast, which is keeping some traders on vacation for a little bit longer. And ultimately, the volume is absolutely, and I stress this, folks, it is dead out there. All right, there is nothing going on out there in relation to action on the markets. You can see from today's action, we opened right up at yesterday's highs, or I should say Friday's highs. We then had a little bit of a minor sell-off. We floated back up, and then we've gone in a very tight range the rest of the day. Now, there is something that I'm keeping a close eye on, and I want to point this out to you guys because I think it's very, very important. All right, number one, you have to notice here that the markets have this upsloping trend line and the 50 MA, which is in kind of a purplish pink color here, sloping up. And those two levels are now together right under current price. Now, why do I bring this to your attention? Well, because if this level were to break, then you get play ball. That's action right there. All right, I want you to really understand that, folks. Unbelievably understand it because it is important. All right, so please note that. As long as you stay above this level, I expect quiet, maybe a little bit of upside action. But once you take this trend line up, and again, let me just zoom out so you guys can truly see it here. But if I zoom out on this, look at where this trend line comes from. It comes from the lows down here on that big dip we had just a few weeks ago to the secondary gap down pivot low right here, which I think was last Thursday, or maybe even last Wednesday. But if you connect those lows, that's the trend line that you get right here, and it continues to kind of initiate that any sort of break of that trend line intraday will start to see some selling pressure come in. You'll see a little bit of an uptick in volume, and obviously the markets at that point you'd expect to dip to this pivot low right here. All right, and again, you can see this pivot low is right around the 183.65 level, which isn't that far down, just a little minor move down, but that would be your first stop, after which you'd actually go right here. Pivot low, 200 MA, which is right around the 182.75. But that's only if, and I want to stress this, that's only if this area can get broken here. And again, upsloping trend line, the 50 MA is upsloping. The 50 MA has been hit once, twice today and bounced off each time. The markets, one thing about the markets that's telling me that the market doesn't have a lot of energy today, even with the light volume, and listen, when the volume is this light in the markets, you generally do have a move upside in the markets, right? We all know that. Light volume breeds upside potential because the general individual, the average investor, is going to be a buyer, right? So that's just the nature of the beast. And then the institutions are the ones that create the volume, and if they're not selling or if they're not in the office today, then obviously the markets will be in float mode. But one thing of note here is that the markets actually are not seeing upside that's substantial. We have the Dow negative, we have the S&P up about 2.4 points. And you might say, well, how come we don't have more upside? The answer is very simple here. All right, because again, the markets are so short-term extended that there's just no gas left in the tank. I mean, look at this move up. This is one of the most dramatic rises in the market. We've gone up 10 points on the SPY in basically the last week. I mean, maybe a week and a half, but I mean, it is a monster move to the upside in a very short amount of time. All right, not only that, but if you flip over to the daily chart, let me do that now. If you flip over to the daily chart, look at what we hammered into on Friday and today. All right, the highs from Friday and the highs from today, gap fill right there. You see that gap fill right in there? This trend line right here. And here's your upsloping trend line, by the way. But bottom line is, again, guys, that the markets are having a lot of resistance up in this range, and you're not seeing the general float higher. And just flipping back to the 10-minute chart again, I just want to reiterate this and kind of just zoom out just a tiny bit. But notice how the markets keep going up to this area, and they're not able to break out. All right, that should be a warning signal that, again, we could see some sell pressure. So just to give you guys a heads up, what have I been doing lately? I actually did, and I want to repeat this, I did increase, all right, short positions today. All right, I'm using today's kind of choppy action to increase the shorts. All right, markets again should pull back as soon as normal volume comes back in this market, which it could be as early as tomorrow, maybe even this afternoon. We got about 50 minutes left in the trading day, but maybe we even see that type of price action. You can see the market's down ticking a little bit, but that 50 MA is still pretty powerful right now. But in any case, guys, watch this market. There are some interesting things going on that are at work here. And if this trend line breaks here, whether it's today or tomorrow, look for downside, look for a negative bias. I'm anticipating that that line will break, whether it's today or tomorrow. And again, I'm setting myself up to profit pretty nicely when that does happen. Okay? So that's what we have going on here, folks, in the markets. Just to look at a couple different stocks, let's bring up Apple. Apple had a nice move up. I gave the exact high on the charts today to our members in the intraday stock chat. I want to show you how I got this. Very simple. Doesn't even take a genius. That's what I love about this stuff. You know, a lot of people come to me and say, oh, you know, I'm not that good at this, or I don't really understand how to do it. It's simple. You just have to apply yourself in the most minimal way. So check out Apple's high today, which was just above the 550 even number, and see this gap fill right here. So see where it's hard to see on my charts, I know. Maybe I could zoom in just a little bit. It may help you guys out a little bit. All right, so see this little green area? That's where the gap fill was. All right, put your trend line right there, and look at that. It goes right there across to today's high. And I said to members, I said, listen, you could probably short this, but at the same time, honestly, you could also do it as a swing short. I mean, there was a day trade there as well as a swing trade. I actually like it as a swing trade short. I think Apple, again, look at the fall here. It's retraced all the way back up. Huge resistance right in there. I've told people about this in our research center for about a week now, that would be the level to short. And sure enough, it's working out perfectly, absolutely perfectly. All right, so we'll continue to eyeball this market and see how it goes. Let's take a look at Amazon today. Amazon is down another $4. Amazon's making a great bearish pattern here. All right, a couple other bearish patterns out there that look great. Take a look at Alcoa. All right, if you're someone who likes to short the market and you like price pattern and time, which is the PPT methodology we utilize, I mean, is this just a sweet bear flag or what? Underneath the 20 MA, this thing should fall right into the 50. First sign of weakness in this market. There are so many good trade setups out there. Let's take a look at Home Depot. Take a look at Home Depot, and then you got the fib levels right here too. We basically kissed the 50% fib level, and look at the market, or this stock start to pull back as well. So again, just to give you a summary of what I'm seeing in the markets, folks, very simple. Markets are having trouble up in this range. Light volume, they should be going much higher. They're not. All right, so that's the number one factor. All right, and you see we're starting to bounce off of this area again, so it just shows you how important this upsloping trend line, the 50 MA, is. But right here at the tops, right there, all right, very clear, this market does not have a lot of oomph left to it. Okay, maybe a little bit more upside, but for the most part, in this volume environment today, this market should be up across the board decently. It should be like a good, solid average up day on the markets, and it's not. So that, again, tells us there's something brewing here. And, you know, I mean, just these are the types of things you got to pay attention to. Overall, when this level breaks, look for downside most likely to about the 182.68 level, which is the 200 moving average. And, you know, once you get there, you might get a little bit of a short-term bounce unless panic fills the market, in which case it's going to go even lower. Okay? All right, so that's that, folks. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else on the radar. I'm not seeing too much else, though. But, again, I think that sums it up. JP Morgan, quickly look at JPM here. JPM's up 44 cents. Financials are actually having a good day today. It's the one area, you can see Goldman's up $1.25 as well. It's kind of the one area that I think is doing pretty well today. And we'll see if it continues to do pretty well. But right now, it does appear to be doing decently. All right, on that note, folks, I'm going to step aside and start back and trade with my members here at InTheMoneyStocks.com. I do encourage you to come check us out. Take the 7-day free trial to InTheMoneyStocks.com, and ultimately, folks, just profit for life. I mean, it doesn't, again, I think I showed you this. It's just basic looking at the charts and seeing where are my moving averages, what's the pattern being made, is there any time counts. Once you know that, you know 90% chance where this market or this individual stock that you're looking at is going to go. Take care, guys. Have a great afternoon, great evening. Come join us here in TheMoneyStocks.com.